All of us run backups for our websites, but how many can actually use those backups while their site is down without putting everything on a new domain or a different host? Today I'm introducing one of my little secret weapons that I created after losing absolutely everything I had. I created a program that will save live backups of my entire site. And by live backup, I mean that if my site goes down, it doesn't matter if it's for a disaster or just because my host provider is rebooting my server, my business is still completely safe and able to run. Sure, there's a little inconvenience, but my site is still reachable. I can still accept orders and still show prospective buyers my offers without missing a beat. How many times over the years have your website backups failed you? Sometimes they get deleted, sometimes they get corrupted, sometimes you just can't figure out how to recover them. Have you ever had a web host provider go bad and then you just get an email with them telling you, well, we had a catastrophe and lost all your files? It happened to me. I had a dedicated server plus paid an extra monthly fee for quote-unquote off-site backups. Then one morning, customers were telling me they couldn't access my site, and when I asked my provider, fully expecting them to just tell me, well, we'll have it back on shortly, they told me they had a fire and lost everything, including my quote-unquote off-site backup. So my entire business was gone in an instant, and I had no way to recover it. Let me repeat that. I lost all of my income overnight and had no way to recover it. It was a brutal time. So let me go ahead and show you the program I built once all of that was behind me. I call it Live Site Backup.
All right, let's walk through this very important software that I've named Live Site Backup. There are two versions of it. There's a Pro version and a Standard edition. I'm using the Pro version to make this example, and you'll always be able to tell which version you have up here. If it says Professional, then you got the Pro version. There's really only two differences in the Pro version as opposed to the Standard edition. One difference is the Pro version has a URL extractor, and the second difference is that the Pro version allows you to set a schedule for the program to go ahead and run automatically for you. Like for myself, I set mine to run once every 30 days because my sites don't change enough that I would need any more than that. I'm just going to go ahead and walk you through that. Now the software itself is extremely simple. You're going to enter your URLs here, the URLs of your websites that you want a live backup of. As it creates those live backups for you, it's going to give you the new URL to those live backups so that you'll have that and be able to use them, send them to customers, use them for yourself for reference if your site goes down, whatever you need to do. Fact is, you will have a live backup of your site and every page on it that you want on it. As a side note, you can also, if you wanted to back up a PDF, for example, that would work here too. I'm not certain, I'll just give a guess here, but you could probably also do that with zip files. I know that you can do it with video files and even YouTube videos. There's a thought for you guys that are pretty serious video marketers and you kind of worry about, oh man, what if I lose this account, especially if you're an aggressive marketer. Well, you could use this software to back up every video on that account. So how cool is that? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing I do is I need to enter the URLs from my website that I want to make a live site backup of. But the thing is, that's several pages and I don't want to just sit here and do them manually. If I was in the Standard edition, I'd have no choice but to do them manually. But I'm in the Pro edition, so I'm going to just click Tools, URL Extractor. I'm going to put in my URL. And then I'm going to click it to extract the URLs. Now, since I've just opened the software, hasn't run at all, it's not registered or anything like that, it's going to go ahead and tell me, okay, well, let's make sure that you're registered, let's make sure that you're using the latest version and so on. So let's go ahead and start this process. I'm going to tell it extract URLs. It's telling me we're going to check registration. So I need to go ahead and register it. And it's not going to show us a lot right now. but it's going ahead and it's saving our data so that it doesn't ask us for our name and email every time that we use the software. And it went and checked to say, okay, is this machine and this user licensed to this software? And it was. So now it's telling me, okay, let's check for the latest version. Just make sure that you've got the latest version. And now it's given me all of the links that it found on my page for me. Now in my case, the way mine is set up, it has the same link, for example, in multiple locations, because you see this one that doesn't have a backslash after it? Well, that's the same as that one, right? But I know that this is the same site. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out. I know I don't want that. I know I don't need any of these because they're all already right there. So I'm going to just go ahead. I've got those now. I'm going to copy them. And just paste them right in. Now, if for example I knew that on my support page, for example, is to say I know that I have more internal links on my support page that this didn't find, that's okay. I could just copy my support page link and go through my extractor and just continue extracting as many as I want, as deeply as I want, because you can put as many URLs in here as you want to put in. So I've got my URLs in. Now I'll just click the Create Live Backups. Now, since this software hasn't ever run, it's saying, wait a minute, you're on the Pro version, so how often do you want to run your backups? So I'm going to tell it, well, I want mine every 30 days. So as soon as I click that, it sets it and says, okay, I'm going to go about my business. Now we'll just sit here and watch it, and little by little, and it's not instant, you would, this is something that you would minimize, if you was sitting there with it on your desktop running while you're doing other stuff, you just minimize it out of your way. But we'll just sit here, let it do its thing, and it's going to populate this area with where our live backups of each one of these pages is hosted. Okay, so we'll just wait it out. Okay, so the software finished up and it went ahead and it created this file and opened it up for us. And just for our information, it's telling us this is a live site backup report, and it was made on 1/25 of 2017. And it's telling you it's saved as, since it really doesn't tell you up here when Notepad opens, so it's telling you where this was opened from. Okay. And now it's also given us the link, the live backup link to each one of our sites. As you can see, we're using archive.org. In other words, we have no issue with that server ever going down, right? So it's a copy of each one. Now you can obviously always tell which page is copied to which archive location because it attaches it, right? It attaches the whole URL. So now let me go ahead and let me pull this down. This is in our documents folder, in a folder called Live Site Backup. First of all, it created our schedule. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and double click that to show it to you. So what it has done in here, when we entered that information in earlier while we was first running the software, it created what links we wanted to have backed up and how often we wanted to back them up. Now if ever you wanted to change this, all you would have to do is either A, manually run the software again to change these links, or B, just come into this file and add or remove links as you wanted. It's just a plain text file. Now you wouldn't be able to change the scheduling unless you come in here to do it. Okay, you can't, once you set your scheduling originally when you first run it, it stays at that, and there's no way to change it unless you change it here. If you go ahead and change it here, the very next time it runs, well, then it'll go ahead and change it. So let's say, for example, that I had mine set on 30 days, but I wanted to change that to do it every 7 days. Well, I would just change the 30 to a 7, and then I would open the software and go ahead and run it again, and it would pick this up and it would reset my scheduling for every 7 days rather than every 30. I hope I didn't make that too complicated. It's very simple. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close that. get this back out of our way. Now I want to show you our programs files folder, okay, the folder that this gets installed to. Once you run the software, when you first get the software, it only has this in it. But once you run it the first time, it creates this DLL, it creates a BAT file, and it creates a VBS file. Okay, and that's all that's going to be in that folder. That's C, Windows, Program Files, Live Site Backup, right? This is what's going to be in there. That is pretty much it. Now you can, however many sites you got here, you can get one, copy it, and you can go to that site, and it's just going to look like your website. Sure, it's going to have their URL, but you're not really going to be using this unless your site is down anyways. If, for example, your site is down for maintenance or whatever, and somebody comes to you saying, oh man, I was heading to go get XYZ product that you promoted, and I can't find it, it's not loading for me. You can tell them, okay, well just hang on just a second, and boom, just go ahead and send them whatever URL of your backups, because it's a live backup and all your order buttons will work and everything. So you would just send them that URL. Or I'm going to use HostGator as an example. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've seen people have HostGator accounts. They'll get them because they're very cheap, and they're very cheap for a reason. But they'll get a HostGator account, and then they'll go and do a product launch, and then all of a sudden in the middle of their launch they just start getting an error. Everybody that's going there starts getting an error saying, oh, this person used all their bandwidth. I mean, number one, that's extremely embarrassing on its own, and I'm going to suggest if you're actually in business, don't use HostGator. That's ridiculous. But I'll get off that rant and say, if that did happen to you, you would be able to, for example, send out another email to your list and say, hey, had a little issue there, here's the proper link. And boom, it would go ahead and send them to your link to where they could go ahead, hit your buy button, and so on and so forth. And you'd be saved, right? You'd save face. You wouldn't have to be so embarrassed. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. You can also, this saves the information automatically into that documents folder that I told you about. But if for some reason you wanted to save it somewhere else, well, you could do that here. You just click that button and you would give the software a name, and wherever you're going to save it, like if you want to save it to your desktop or whatever, which you might, because obviously this software lends itself beautifully to, for example, allowing you to use it as a business. You could offer a service to other people, right? You've got the software, so you're able to say, hey, I'll give you a live backup of your site for X dollars, or I'll do one every week of your site for a year for X dollars. I mean, you've got flexibility there. And basically, you would just, every time this ran, you could just go in, get a copy of your report, send it to that person so that they've always got the latest update. You're making money. It's not costing you anything because this is a one-off product. This is not a monthly membership fee, and it's unlimited on the licensing. In other words, you never run out of licenses for it. So there you go. That is this software in action. It's simple, and it is one of the most valuable and powerful software programs you will ever have as a marketer.
Having a bulletproof backup system isn't an option in most of our lives. It's an absolute requirement. Don't risk losing everything. Just get a copy of this new custom software so that you always have a live and usable backup for your site at all times. And be sure to read the whole page, because there is additional information that is important on it.